Support for Destination Michigan is provided by the CMU Bookstore. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, maroon and gold memories, and an official outfitter of Adidas apparel at the Central Michigan University-owned and operated CMU Bookstore. Online shopping 7 days a week at cmubookstore.com. The CMU Bookstore, online at cmubookstore.com, on campus in the University Center, and game day locations at Kelly Short Stadium and the CMU Events Center.
Hi and welcome to Destination Michigan, where we explore the beauty, creativity, and destinations in our Great Lakes state. Tonight we're going to meet some outstanding Michiganders, and we'll travel across the mitten to visit the communities that make Michigan unique. Our journey starts with Stephanie Mills in Mount Pleasant.
Today we're checking out the Country Chalet in Edelweiss Haus. It's just a few minutes from downtown Mount Pleasant, but when you get out here, you really start to feel like you're in the heart of Bavaria.
Next, we'll explore an adventure for those who aren't afraid of heights in Harrison.
Then we'll dive into the history of Michigan's freighters in Marine City.
And we'll head to the MDOT sign shop where they create these freeway signs.
This week finds me in Emmett County, one of my favorite places, involved in something called Cowboy Action Shooting.
I'm Courtney Jerome, and you're tuned in to Destination Michigan. Bed and breakfasts are favorite destinations for Michiganders across the state. In one of those accommodating locations near Mount Pleasant, Shelley stands out. Stephanie Mills takes us on a tour tonight of a traditional and authentic Bavarian-themed bed and breakfast.
Today we're checking out the Country Chalet in Edelweiss Haus. It's just a few minutes from downtown Mount Pleasant, but when you get out here, you really start to feel like you're in the heart of Bavaria.
We had stayed in Europe. We lived in Europe a couple years, and we'd been there for 3 months in 1991. And that kind of was a clue that maybe we wanted to do what we had done there, which is stay in bed and breakfast.
Ron and Carolyn Lutz love to travel, and they love meeting people and making new friends. After their many trips overseas to picturesque places like Austria, Switzerland, and Germany, opening a Bavarian bed and breakfast seemed like the perfect fit.
We had a former student that came to visit, and we were discussing selling our home that we raised our 6 children in because it's large, lots of bedrooms. And he said, well, just why don't you do bed and breakfast? And we said, well, we don't know anything about that. So the whole idea of a bed and breakfast kind of got planted by having lived there, having friends that had lived there encouraging us to do this. And so we just built this one, and this has been kind of our dream.
Turning their dream into a reality was a family affair including kids and grandkids. After starting up a bed and breakfast at their Country Chalet in 1984, they later built the Edelweiss Haus with a true alpine look from the ground up, starting with this model made of toothpicks. Ron was a professor at Central Michigan University for more than 30 years with an avid passion in woodworking. Carolyn is also a retired school teacher.
Carolyn is a master at visualizing things that can enhance this kind of environment. It's been a team effort, and that's what's been fun, to still have something that we have in common that we enjoy doing and sharing that experience with other people.
Guests who come from all over the world can't help but fall in love with the grounds. Visitors can walk the trails, see wildlife, pick berries, and just admire the gardens.
We have 2 ponds that are stocked with fish, 2 bridges, and children like to feed the fish, and some like to actually fish. We have a garden up top the hill, and we give away a lot of raspberry plants, give away a lot of produce when guests are here.
We make a lot of jams and jellies and that sort of thing as well from our own produce. And we serve a lot of the veggies at breakfast.
Ron and Carolyn's homemade breakfasts and good company keep visitors coming back year after year.
This is a welcoming atmosphere. Ron and I cook breakfast together, and we don't get in each other's way, and we kind of have our roles that we play. And he fixes potatoes and veggies, and I do the pancakes and waffles, and one of us does the fruit tray, and we also fix a German meal once in a while where we have the hard rolls and cold cuts and meats, cheeses, and things like that.
Walking into the Edelweiss house felt a lot like stepping into my grandmother's home in southern Germany. From the furniture to the drapes and fresh flowers, it instantly took me back to my childhood. And with their sweet personalities, Ron and Carolyn will keep turning strangers into friends for years to come.
We just love to visit with people and hear their stories and share what we've created there with them, and usually get pretty positive feedback about our breakfast and just the peaceful, quiet nature of this place.
The Edelweiss house has 5 guest rooms and can sleep around 10 people. Another thing to mention is that Ron also hand-built the bridges that cross over the property's ponds. You can find this bed and breakfast online at countrychalet.net. Now onward with our travels, we'll head to Harrison. It's a town in mid-Michigan just north of Mount Pleasant by a half-hour drive. Let's go have an adventure at Snowsnake. Snowsnake in Harrison is known for a lot of different activities. You might have heard of their ski hills with a diverse terrain for snowboarders and skiers. Or perhaps you've slid down one of their snow tubing runs and enjoyed the leisurely pull back up the hill thanks to the tow lift. But maybe you like to hit the links on their 18-hole golf course, which opened in 1994. Then again, there's always their recently added Rocks and Valleys Off-Road Park for those who like to play in the mud. But the reason why we're here today is to explore an adventure for those who aren't afraid of heights. Snowsnake's Zipline Tour. Okay. In 2011, the Brockway family added a zipline tour to their recreational repertoire, with zooming speeds over 25 miles per hour at times, and with riders' feet flailing in foliage. It's definitely activity you can mark as adventurous. But don't let the heights and speed scare you away from going on a tour.
We have 10 separate lines. We take you on it. There's a progression. Some of them are lower and not as fast, but as we go through the course, they get a little faster and a little higher off the ground. And as we finish, the speeds increase a little bit. It's a lot of fun. Families love it. We've had some youngsters, 5, 6 years old, all the way up to a rider in the 90s.
It's an option for all ages, not only because it's so much fun, but also because it's extremely safe. The course gets an annual official inspection from the Universal Ropes course out of Pennsylvania, and Snowsnake checks all the equipment on a daily basis. Every group even gets a couple well-trained and friendly tour guides.
The guides, they have 2 responsibilities: to keep it safe and to make it fun. Their job out there is just to hook everyone on and receive them when they come in for the landing. And then they might occasionally bounce them or show them a few tricks to do on the cables.
And the course's cables are approximately 3,500 feet long. The shortest zip line is probably 275 feet in length at the beginning of the course, and the longer lines are toward the end.
The first 8 zip lines are gravity stop. Ideally, you come into a nice, easy stop. The last 2 were kind of presents from the builder to add some excitement to the zip line. And so number 9 is 820 feet long and reaches speeds of anywhere from 25 to 30 miles per hour based on your weight. And so you come in sometimes pretty hot if you're heavier. And so those have bungee stops that give you a little bit more abrupt stop. And then the last one, number 10, is a twin zip. You ride side by side, and depending on the wind direction, you can really pick up some speed and come flying in. So if you're heavier and you're coming through and the wind's at your back, you can really fly in. If you're a little bit lighter, sometimes you come to a crawling stop. But it's fun, even for those who barely make it. They get to hang out on the line and look at the sights before we pull them in.
If flying through the trees over wildlife and valleys sounds like fun to you, get a group together and give Snowsnake a call during Michigan's warmer months to set up a tour.
It's on a lot of people's bucket list, and they have enjoyed it.
Snowsnake is a family-run business with a fourth-generation family member working there now. For more information on this four-season favorite destination, you can visit snowsnake.net. Next, we'll head southwest to the lower thumb in Michigan's mitten, and we'll take a step back in time to learn about the maritime history of Marine City. Timber used to dominate Michigan's early industries, including in shipbuilding. And as Stephanie Mills explains, nowhere else was that more evident than in Marine City.
There were over 250 wood ships built in Marine City, and only one steel ship. And all that came to an end by the early 1900s. And the reason for the wood ships is we had an abundance of lumber. The whole thumb was filled with lumber.
Located about 45 minutes north of Detroit on the banks of the St. Clair River and with Canada in its backyard, Marine City's early beginnings made waves with its highs and lows. Its maritime history, a source of pride throughout the community.
A fellow by the name of Captain Samuel Ward came here, and of course he was looking to make his fortune. Was originally born in Vermont, and then he had tried his luck in Canada, Ohio, but he came exploring here, and he was a captain. And at that time, there was no easy path. Water was the only way to travel, but there were many rapids in it. So Captain Ward came here about the same time as Father Gabriel Richard. So they came to a place at the mouth of the Bell River that at the time was called by the indigenous population Yankee Point.
Ward named the area Newport after his love for Newport, Rhode Island. The name stuck for a while, but because it was such a popular name on the East Coast, they later renamed the community Marine City to stop any confusion. Ward wasted no time getting to work.
Gabriel Richard eventually succeeded a certain amount of land to Sam Ward, and that's where he started both his shipbuilding business, and he was a merchant. He was the first postmaster in 1831. He was basically the town. It was building of ships, manning them, and transporting of goods. They transported logs, they had sawmills here, stave mills, which would make barrels. The reason they made barrels, they also discovered salt here. Everywhere we're sitting here is a salt vein. And in the 1800s, without refrigeration, salt was the thing that you needed.
Salt and timber revolutionized the town. People came from all over, Canada, Europe, hoping to strike it rich. But big changes were in store the following 100 years.
And then, of course, by 1900, with the widening of the river and the passageways, they found out that steel was more economical and would last longer, and the wood shipbuilding business basically went by the wayside. They didn't know what to do with these old wood ships, so they used to park them out in the bays and stuff and just let them sink.
This is the Bell River, and it used to be home to several large shipyards. Today it's developed with new homes and docks, but you can still find pieces of the past on the bottom of the water.
Recently, a local fellow took a hang glider, and you can just see, I'm going to say 30, 40 hulks from the air. If you like to dive around here, you might have noticed there are anchors and stuff. That's where all this comes from, because they just basically let it sink. There's some sunk in the Bell River too. And when the Corps of Engineers dig for a bridge or something, they come across the bones of these things.
When the industry sank, new ones rose. From the Bell River to the St. Clair River, ships and other maritime relics cover the floor, making these areas a hit with scuba divers. Tourists also come to check out the many antique stores, restaurants, see a show at the theaters, or spend the day by the water watching the passing freighters. And for those looking to travel to a foreign country, look no further than the Blue Water Ferry that shuttles people to Canada daily.
I think we have the most unique little town that you can actually, with your little imagination, just walk through town and you can go back to 1900.
Knowing Marine City's maritime history is just as important as remembering those who shaped the community into what it is today. Many of their ancestors still live here and continue to navigate the town through ups and downs and into the future.
You walk down the street, people say hi to you. Everybody knows everybody. And if they don't know you, first question is going to be, who's your people? And that it took me a long time to get used to that. Who's your people? Well, what they're actually asking, who's your ancestors? Why are you here? And it's very friendly.
Marine City's Community Pride and Heritage Museum is a great place to check out artifacts. There you can even see a replica model of what the Belle River used to look like with all the shipyards. At marinecitymuseum.org you can learn more. Well, while there are numerous MDOT garage shops all over Michigan that help keep us safe on the roads, tonight we're going to one in particular, the MDOT Central Sign Shop in Lansing.
We're quite busy here in the sign shop.
And busy can possibly be considered an understatement. Matt Niemi is the supervisor of the Michigan Department of Transportation's statewide sign unit, and his team makes and installs the majority of freeway road signs that you see all across the state of Michigan.
We have three people in our sign shop that are there full-time, and then 4 members on my statewide crew that they travel all over the state and install signs. We could be in Ironwood one week and in Detroit the next. We cover the whole state right out of Lansing here. So we do a lot of the specialty type signs that they don't have the equipment to do at some of the outer lying reaches of the state.
The specialty signs they make range from road signs you see for circle tours, historic routes, adopt a highway, and state police posts, to name a few. They're able to make hundreds of these for distribution thanks to a screen printing process. And if making these specialty signs for all over the state isn't impressive enough, then how about making gigantic freeway signs? And these freeway signs range anywhere in size, like this one that's 7.5 by 14 feet long, all the way to some that are 40 feet long.
The size is intimidating right up when you're right up next to them. A clearance sign on a bridge on a freeway, typically it's a half a sheet of plywood. They're 2 foot high and 8 foot long. They don't look like it when you're driving by at 70 miles an hour, but that's what they need to be so that you can still see it when you're driving by at 70 miles an hour.
Matt and his crew walked us through the process of making a Pure Michigan welcome sign with letters that are 11 inches tall. Believe it or not, these signs are considered on the smaller side at 12 feet by 6 feet.
Guys will lay it out on the computer through the SignCAD program, and then we cut the legend out, and then we have the substrate or wherever the sign's going on, whether it be plywood or sheet aluminum or an extruded aluminum sign. We'll cover that with a 3M product that we use. It's a reflective background material. And then we cut a legend out of a higher reflective material so that it shows up brighter. And we apply that to the base of the sign, the substrate.
Where the crew lays down the legend or text on the sign is extremely important, as every sign needs to be identical on the road. As you can see, the legend is placed with extreme precision on these large freeway signs. And they're laid by hand after lots of measuring to meet the sign's standard spacing. The crew at the sign shop certainly takes pride in crafting the tools that help all of us navigate the Mitten State.
Some of the small signs we can fabricate in a relatively short period of time, 30, 40 minutes. Some of the larger freeway type signs that you'd see out on the freeways, they'll take somewhere up to 4 or 5 hours to produce.
So still need another example of how precisely detailed these signs are? Well, look up close at the reflective material. See the diamonds? Each diamond is a cell, and each cell's orientation points east and west. Now, if the cells aren't exactly lined up as you're driving at night, the uneven celled letter will look either dimmer or brighter than all the others. And speaking of the reflective material, it's when that material ages that the signs on the road need to be replaced.
The life of a sign typically is about 12 to 15 years. After that, the reflectivity of it goes down. They become dimmer at night. A lot of times when you see people out, putting up new signs, it's not because they were damaged, they're being replaced because they're old. And while they may look perfectly good in the daylight, it's during the nighttime is when they really show the difference. They have dark spots in them, and then the motoring public can't see the legend as well, so then that's what causes confusion.
Matt also mentioned that besides reflectivity, signs need to be replaced when they're stolen, vandalized, or damaged.
Exit signs, they seem to be the ones that take the most abuse. And people think at the last minute, oh, I've got to turn here. They don't always make it. Sometimes the aluminum signs come up missing, but with the recent legislation that's come into place for the scrap dealers, that's really cracking down on our theft, so to speak. Vandalism is a big problem down in the Metro Detroit area right now, it seems. So it's quite an expensive process to replace a large sign on the freeway, especially if it's mounted, out over 4 or 5 lanes of traffic. It inconveniences a lot of people, and you have to replace that sign. So it becomes very costly. So the vandals are really doing a lot more damage than, what they would think they are.
So next time you're traveling to a destination in Michigan and you use the freeway signs to help guide your way, think of the MDOT statewide sign crew and the care they put into keeping us all safe on the roads. The statewide sign crew is also responsible for making many of the short-term, daytime, and overnight construction signs in their shop. But instead of using aluminum or plywood, those signs are put on plastic. Our final stop tonight is with Bob Garner. We all know how much he loves the outdoors and smell of gun smoke in the air. And his visit to Harbor Springs tonight is no exception. Here's Bob Garner at the Harbor Springs Outdoors Club.
This week finds me in Emmett County, one of my favorite places, involved in something called Cowboy Action Shooting. There are a group of shooters who work tirelessly to promote and enjoy our history of the Old West. Folks who watch Gunsmoke and Bonanza through the 50s and 60s on television. Folks like me who as kids went to see every Western every time they could and wore their cowboy hats and strapped on their cap guns for the Saturday matinee. This group keeps that history alive by dressing in clothes of the period and using 6 guns and rifles and shotguns reminiscent of the Old West. Tom Bailey, Executive Director of the Little Traverse Conservancy, is also known as North Side Ranger, and he talked with this old sodbuster about this club and how much fun they have. Can you tell me about this Harbor Springs group of guys? I mean, you're all over Emmett County, I suppose, but they pretty much identify with Harbor Springs.
Sure, it's the Harbor Springs Outdoors Club, and they were kind enough to set aside a piece of their club property for us to try Cowboy Action Shooting. I'm kind of a latecomer to it, really. I didn't set it up, but I was involved to start with and enjoy coming out once in a while, not as often as these guys who are more dedicated. It's a diverse bunch of guys, and a lot of them do other serious shooting. There are serious skeet shooters and rifle shooters, competitive shooters, but sometimes we like to get together and get the single action pistols and the lever guns out and just have fun.
So for each shoot, they set up scenarios. Now do you actually walk into a saloon and look for somebody cheating at poker or something, or what do you do, Tom?
At some of the big shoots you do. We're a little more low-key here at the Harbor Springs Outdoor Club about it, but at some of the sanctioned shoots and the big shoots, it gets to be some really fancy scenarios. And of course, there's a competitive element to it. It is a timed event. A lot of times we don't even use a clock here because we just like to shoot, but sometimes when you burst through the saloon doors, that's what starts the clock with your shooting, and you shoot normally 2 pistols, a rifle, and a shotgun, and you're trying to shoot as fast as you can.
And you're shooting metal plates for the most part.
Right.
And how much fun is this for everyone? Well, even Courtney Jerome got involved in it, and did she shoot well? That's beautiful, Court.
That deserves a yee-haw! Yeah!
There's something about stepping into the days of the old Lone Ranger and Matt Dillon and
there sure is.
Ponderosa and Bonanza and all that stuff.
And the feel of that gun leather around your hips, it's fun.
You feel like John Wayne sometimes?
Well, I don't know about John Wayne, but it feels pretty good.
If you'd like to join the Cowboys at the club like we did, their contact information is at harborspringsOutdoorsClub.com. Now we'll conclude our episode with some Destination Michigan trivia for you. Todd and Brad Reed are a father-son outdoor photography team based in the northern Michigan town of Leadington. Their first book they collaborated on was Lake Michigan Point to Point in 2005. The book highlighted areas of what region? Stay tuned for the answer.
Support for Destination Michigan is provided by the CMU Bookstore. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, maroon and gold memories, and an official outfitter of Adidas apparel at the Central Michigan University-owned and operated CMU Bookstore. Online shopping 7 days a week at cmubookstore.com. The CMU Bookstore, online at cmubookstore.com, on campus in the University Center, and game day locations at Kelly Short Stadium and the CMU Events Center.
Our Destination Michigan trivia question for the night. What area did Todd and Brad Reed feature on their book, Lake Michigan Point to Point? The answer is between the Big Sauble Point Lighthouse and Little Sauble Point Lighthouse. The 40-mile Lake Michigan shoreline between the lighthouses was highlighted, as well as other bodies of water. Hamlin Lake, Pentwater Lake, Pure Marquette River, Sauble River, Pentwater River, and the Lincoln River. The Reeds are always shooting new, beautiful scenic photographs, and they share them in many of their books and on their Facebook page. Well, thanks for joining us tonight on Destination Michigan. We hope you'll tune in again and learn more about the state we all love to call home.